Danger Danger burst onto the scene in 1989 with their incredible self-titled release. In 1991 they followed it up with the release of their second album, Screw It. These two albums spawned the songs and would-be hits that we all know and love today: Naughty Naughty, Rock America, Bang Bang and Monkey Business. These two albums and set of songs garnered the band a cult following of fans that, still to this day, continue to support the band. Back in the day, Danger Danger was like the perfect blend of AOR and glam metal, but much like their contemporaries, they struggled throughout the 90s as grunge and other styles of music took precedence. Despite this, Danger Danger would soldier on and continue to release new albums throughout the 90s and the 2000s. Out of their big catalogue of albums, perhaps their most interesting album is their 2001 release titled CockRoach. I feel like it's their hidden gem, but I think a lot of people pass over it, which is a shame because CockRoach is an incredible album. I think what makes it really fascinating is that there is two versions of it. There's a version with Ted Poley's vocals and another version with Paul Laine's. CockRoach was originally meant to be the band's third album release, but the relationship between the band and Ted Poley had become strained, which led to Ted's inevitable departure from the group. While Ted would go on to form the band Bone Machine, a singer named Paul Laine was hired in as Ted's replacement. Paul was given the delicate task of redoing all of Ted's vocals, which led to the creation of the second version of this album, and it's the album that I've been tasked to review. But who exactly is Paul Laine? Well, Paul Laine, if you're not familiar, is a solo artist from Canada that broke into the mainstream back in the early 90s with his debut album release, Stick It In Your Ear. Released in 1990, Stick It In Your Ear is one hell of an album and very similar in tone to the type of music Danger Danger were known for. This 9-track album had an incredible bunch of songs. There were 2 music videos to promote this album, one for It Is Love and another for Doriana. In 1996 he followed up that album with the release of Can't Get Enough. Paul Laine not only had the pipes to match Poley, but he was also strikingly good looking and in my opinion was the perfect replacement to Ted. Much like Ted Poley, Paul Laine has a strong and powerful voice, but I have to be honest here, when I first discovered this album I was like everyone else. Who is this guy? Why is he on here? There is no Danger Danger without Ted Poley. WTF. I gave it a whole lot of that and more out of loyalty and bias, but once I started listening to Paul's version of this album, I soon changed my tune. I found Paul's version of this album incredible. In my opinion, Paul Laine gave the 12 tracks in this album depth, colour and nuance in a way that Ted just couldn't. Paul Laine took these songs and truly made them his own. He did what he was hired to do and more. Despite the lineup change, I think that had this album have been released in 1993 like it should have, I've no doubt that it would have been enough to maintain their cult following in America and help build their audience in Japan. But unfortunately, Ted Poley would end up suing the band and prevent this album from being released. And sadly, it wouldn't see the light of day until 2001, which is a shame because I feel like as a whole this album struck the right balance of AOR and grunge. It's the compromise of maintaining their original sound while at the same time embracing a new one. They met themselves halfway. The album has a unique atmosphere and yet it feels like familiar territory. My favourite tracks in this album are Walk It Like You Talk It, Afraid of Love, Shot of Love and Still Kicking. The only thing that I think lets this album down is the artwork. Honestly, it's terrible. Ted's version doesn't look too bad, but on Paul Laine's version it's pukey brown and it's paired together with tacky font. It just doesn't scream buy me, does it? And also, why is it called CockRoach? I understand that they had to modernise to a certain degree to compete with the grunge market, but I think the original font on the band's first 2 albums is iconic and timeless. CockRoach feels like the odd one out. The depressing sepia tone is the last thing I would associate with Danger Danger. For me, Danger Danger are bright and colourful. Their music is filled with a unique atmosphere, but this cover feels foreign and so far removed from what I would associate with this band. Since CockRoach had to be shelved, Danger Danger would end up recording a new album in its place. Released in 1995, Dawn is a very heavy grunge type album which is wildly different from what Danger Danger was known for. For me, it doesn't have that sense of familiarity like CockRoach does, and its album art is just awful. Again, the sepia tone. Looking at this, it just feels like a pathetic attempt to blend in with a genre that they simply didn't belong to. Paul Laine would stay with the band for another 2 albums before parting ways with the group. It's been mentioned that he felt like fans never truly embraced his time with the band, and judging by the state of Dawn and the other two albums, For the Hard Way and The Return of the Great Gildersleeves, honestly, I kind of understand why he wasn't received well. For fans of this great band, I think anything between Screw It and Revolve, it's simply just unfamiliar territory for fans. In 2001, both the Ted Poley and Paul Laine versions of CockRoach was released to the public. For this video, I've teamed up with another creator by the name of Trevor Crash Knight. Trevor is an incredible YouTube content creator that is in the same field as me. He does interviews, album reviews, and is passionate about the music and the scene that we all love so much. We decided to join forces for this album review. He picked Ted and, well, I picked Paul, so if you want to know all about Ted's version of this album and whether it's good or not, go check out his channel. I'll leave a link to his review in the pinned comments. Go check him out, subscribe to his channel, and, well, this has been my review of Paul Laine's version of CockRoach by Danger Danger. Thank you very much for watching and hope to see you in the next one. Bye for now.